We left San Bernardino National Forest, Barton Flats Campground on Monday morning and headed south down I-15 for San Diego and Mission Bay RV Resort, but you'll see a few of the scenes here on the way heading south. We arrived there at the campground, and you see the arrow, that's where we were parked, and we were there in time for Caden's, our grandson's, sweet 16th birthday, and it was a great joy to help celebrate that. There's a picture of his parents with him. Unfortunately, Jackson wasn't able to be with us, his brother, but here we went to one of Caden's baseball games. Quite an enjoyable experience. After our time in San Diego, we headed north towards Sequoia National Park, and hoping to see the big tree, the General Sherman. But I learned something very valuable on this time, and that is that there's a big difference between a national park and a national forest. And as you see when we get closer to our campsite, you don't see a whole lot of big trees, and Vicki kept asking me, where are the trees? I want to see the trees. So we discovered that the national park was 2.5 hours away from the national forest where we camped. We stayed that night at Boulder Gulch Campground there in Sequoia National Forest, and it was a pleasant place to stay. We had a very quiet overnight, and we got up the next morning and we used Google Maps to route us a spot to Sequoia National Park and a campground right outside the park. And that Google Maps let us look how many twists and turns there are in this, and it was a very mountainous, slow drive to Sequoia National Park, but we made it safe and sound. Well, we made it to Sequoia National Park, not National Forest. Found our campsite at Three Rivers Hideaway. I don't have pictures of that. The campsite was adequate. It was very convenient right outside the park entrance. So that's enough said about that campground. But we were able to make our way into the park that same afternoon and show you what's happening here. can see here, Vicki and I, as we walked down the trail, about a half a mile down and several hundred feet elevation change to the General Sherman. It was lightly snowing that day, although it's not visible here on the camera as we walk down there. The General Sherman tree is located 6,900 feet above sea level, so the walk will be a little bit challenging because of the altitude, and I was concerned about Vicki walking back up the hill. A park ranger thankfully told us she could walk down to a handicap parking lot. I could pick her up there. But take a look at the size of the trees behind us, this whole stand. And here we are inside of what's called one of the Twin Sisters, which had been scarred by fire at some time in the past. Take a look at this giant burl on the side of this tree. It is just enormous. This is a screenshot from the National Forest Service. Statistics about the General Sherman tree. Go ahead and read it and be amazed. And now you see a picture of Vicki and I standing before the General Sherman. What an amazing experience it was. This video is not giving you any good perspective of how big those trees are. You've got to go there and experience it for yourself. They are massive. We had quite beautiful scenery on our trip down the mountain, going back down to the campground, and hope you enjoyed this video. Hey, if you would, please hit the subscribe button, click the notification bell, and we'll talk to you next one. When we show you a few scenes from Garberville, amazingly enough.